Okay, hi everybody. I've got 3 slicks here and a chisel, a large 2-inch framing chisel, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about each one, talk about the differences between them and provide a little demo of each one. Got a nice piece of cedar here, western red cedar. Easy stuff to cut, and I hope it'll provide you with a good overview of what's different about each of these 4 tools and why you might pick up one or the other to do some work. So we'll start off with this one. This is an unusual one. It's a T-handle. Not very common at all. Got this years ago from a Canadian carpenter who was working in the UK. It's actually made by a company called H Date of Galt, Ontario. It's apart from being unusual in its having a T-handle, it also has a very short blade, and it's a slick that is not flat on the back. Okay, and that's one of the main differences between these 4 tools. Some of them are flat and some of them are not flat, and that provides each of them with a slightly different capability to surface a piece of timber. These are primarily tools for surfacing, for creating large flat surfaces on timber joinery. So typically a timber framer's tool, used on large timber joinery. So when I say it's not flat, when we put a straight edge along it like this, if you can see this well, there's a not quite, I think you can maybe just about make that out there. It's not flat, and you see if I lift it up, you'd have to be something like that to get it to cut. So it's not intended for creating completely flat surfaces. It's intended for creating mostly flat surfaces. It's not a paring chisel. A paring chisel would have a long blade and it will be completely flat, so that if you start that cut and continue that cut, it will be as flat as the blade of the tool. So there's the Date T-handle slick. The next one here, by the way, let me just back up slightly. That Date slick has a width of 3 3/4 inches. The next one here is a 3-inch Ohio tool. Okay, pretty typical socket handled slick. The handle is removable. You give it a bit of a wrap, the handle comes out. Okay, give it a tap. Give it a tap, and it's back in there, and it's a tapered fit. Locks in there pretty good. Socketed handle, Ohio tool works, and you can see here the edge steel, the difference between the hard edge steel and the softer body steel. It's also very clear on the front side here, so the back side. Okay, and this one is flat. Okay, when you put a straight edge on it like that, it's almost perfectly flat. And interestingly, the handle sticks down a little bit below the flat surface of the back face. So what that means is that you can pare flat up to about that point there, but if you go any further you're going to run into the handle socket and it's going to start to tilt the tool into the work and spoil your nice flat cut. So this one, another feature of it, has a curved cutting edge, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the demonstrations, but that provides it with some benefits in terms of its ability to cut. Basically these tools are wide. They you know, to make a cut with a 3 3/4 inch edge, cutting all the way along that edge takes quite a lot of force, of power, and it's not easy. Next one here I got from Mr. Eli Curtis, some of you will know, and this is an Underhill edge tool, slick. Features of this one are that it's quite short in the body, or the blade, certainly shorter than this one, and it's also, and this is the reason I bought it off him, because I like this in a slick, it's really not flat. Let's see if you can get a good look at this. There we go. Maybe it's got a lot of curvature to that blade. What that means is that you can start a cut and you can get back out of it. So you take more of a scooping cut. It's almost like a gouge. You know, anyone who's done bowl carving or spoon carving, you know, will understand what I'm getting at there. Another feature of this, the edge is not flat this way, which all of the others are, and this is also something that really attracted me to it. Can you see that? I'm going to get some photographs of that because it's quite something. Whoever set this tool up has ground away the corners here to create that curved surface, and what that means is you can cut on the center here without cutting on the edges. It also means that if you take a wider cut you don't leave edge marks. So this is going to be a really nice tool for creating a beautiful slightly scalloped surface without any edge marks left behind. This also has hard edge steel, you can see it there. This one, you can see the edge steel here and you can see it here, so it's a full piece been joined on, quite possibly sandwiched on there like this. Okay, so you get to see it's here and here. The body steel maybe goes down the center of that, and the forge welding is done in this area here. With this one I don't see any evidence of a hard edge laminated on this surface, but it's very clear on this one. So this steel is possibly what they call laid on. Okay, so the hard edge steel is laid on this face only, not on here. I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, but I can see the lamination line just about 3/16 back from the edge, which suggests to me that edge steel is quite thin, certainly no more than 1/8 of an inch thick, and it's been laid onto this face, hammered and forged welded, and so we only see the lamination line on this side. Okay, this one is also a socketed handle. Again, the handle can be taken out. I made this handle recently. This is yew wood. Not a perfectly straight grain piece, but that's okay on a slick handle. It's got a little bit of heart grain running down this side. Got a few small knots in it. You can see on the end here, you know exactly where the heart is. But that gives that piece some nice character. I kind of like it, and yew wood has beautiful colour, which makes it very attractive to look at. So there's the Underhill. And then lastly, for a bit of comparison, this is a modern, you can still buy these, Robert Sorby, Sheffield, very well known English maker. They are still making these chisels, very popular with timber framers. They're a long, strong, high carbon steel, no laminated edge on these. You know, thick and sturdy, long. That blade is 8 inches, full 8 inches up to this point here where it starts to sort of taper out, and it's ground perfectly flat. So this is a true you know, flat backed, I call it a framing chisel. It can be used as a paring chisel. You've got 8 inches of paring length there. The flatness of that edge helps you create a very flat surface on a piece of woodwork. Like I say, popular among timber framers. This is also really good for cutting large timber frame joinery. It's bigger than most chisels that most woodworkers would use. And I thought I'd talk about this a little bit because it provides a nice comparison with the slicks, particularly these two, which are not flat backed and have that ability to make a more of a scooping or scalloped cut rather than a flat paring cut. Okay, so with all that said, we're going to do a little demo. Okay, here we go with the date T-handle slick, 3 3/4 inch edge. Beautiful clear, mostly edge grain, western red cedar here, and I can tell you right away that creating enough force to do a full width cut, especially without, you know, getting a little momentum, takes quite a lot of effort. Having said that, you know, there's a little area that I did here. Probably can't make it out on the video, but it's slightly scalloped, and you know, I can find a high spot and just take that off. Okay, so remember, these are tools for surfacing, creating flat surfaces, and you know, you can do a little more of a sort of diagonal cut like that, which sort of increases the cutting efficiency of the edge rather than just head on. It also reduces maybe the width of the cut a little bit. The narrower the cut that you take, the less force it's going to require to move that wood. I don't know whether you can see that, but you know, there's a series of small, slightly scalloped cuts here. Again, you know, remember this one is not flat, and that not flatness gives me the ability to cut in and back out, and so I can get that scallop thing going. And you know, to my mind, it's quite a nice surface finish. I love hand tooled finishes, and this is a good tool for doing them. There we go. Okay, so that was the date T-handle slick, and we're going to take a look at this one next. Ohio Tool Company, 3-inch socket handle, classic slick, flat backed, okay, curved edge. So that curved edge has given me the ability to cut in the center of the blade without cutting all the way, and you know, if I push it at a slightly oblique angle, there's another way that I can improve cutting efficiency. And even with this completely flat blade, I can still get some ability to cut in and out, and basically this one is better at creating a very flat surface. What I'm doing here is I'm taking out some high spots, and I'm working this surface to a greater degree of flatness. Sure is nice to cut this stuff. This is quite an old and dry piece of red cedar. It's soft and very straight grain with no knots, very little variation in the grain structure, which makes it quite easy to cut. So I picked an easy piece for this demo. So for anyone who likes a hand tool finish on a piece of furniture or something like that, this would make a very nice job of it. And being a large wide edge, you can move wood pretty quickly with it. Okay, so there's the Ohio 3-inch. Okay, next up is the Underhill. New addition to the Slick collection. Pretty excited about this one, mainly because of that curvature. Remember, it's curved long ways like this. It's also curved crossways like this, and I think that's going to make this a really nice surfacing tool. So have a little go. Blue enough. So you can see there how it's only cutting in the center. It's actually really nice to use. I have a lot of control over the depth of the cut and also the width of the cut. If I, and when I feel that, I can feel the slight curvature of each cut, which is creating little scoops. Oh boy, that's nice. I can really control that cut. Just want to keep going. Let's save a little bit for the next one. Go. Nice tool. That's the Underhill. And lastly, we got the Sorby framing chisel. It's So, you know, this is the one I would pick up if I wanted to be more precise, because it's completely flat along here. It's precision ground, and so, you know, I can use it to start a cut on an edge, and having started that, by keeping pressure here, okay, preventing this kind of movement, I can then continue that surface that I've created. And if I want to extend it sideways, I keep most of the tool on the surface that I've just created, and I extend, you know, ½ an inch into the next uncut area and continue. And what I'm doing there is creating a large flat surface. Okay, and you can see how I'm not coming out of the cut, and I can keep that going until I reach the end of my chisel, which is just about there. At this point, this part of the chisel where it swells out, I'm no longer flat there, and that'll start to lift the chisel, and the cut will dive in. So, you know, hopefully you can see there the difference of a paring chisel compared to a slick, and the extra precision that can give you. That's a pretty flat surface. Little bump there. And so, you know, that's how a timber framer might create a surface on a large scarf joint or the side of a tenon. That kind of usage. Okay, so there's a large paring chisel. Okay, just gonna try a few of these on a bit of Douglas fir. A little harder. I've got a bandsawn 8x12 little offcut here. I'm gonna just have a little play with a couple of these. So here's the Ohio 3-inch slick. I'm getting some tear out there because I'm going against the grain, immediately showing how wonderful that cedar was. So easy to cut that stuff. So we're going to change direction here. Oh, and that's tearing out that way. So the grain here is moving around all over the place. I've got some grain around this knot. So this is proving to be a bit of a challenge. There's a little bit of surfacing with the 3-inch Ohio. I'm going to go with another one here. Let's try the Underhill, my new favourite. So the underhill here immediately proves itself more suitable for this. When when you have wood that has some wild grain, it keeps changing around. A tool that can get in and out in a fairly short distance is actually really useful, because it enables you to, work a little area in one direction and then switch around and work an area in another direction. Over here I'm starting to get some tear out, but over here it's cutting nice and smooth. So this is exactly why I wanted to get this particular tool, because it enables me to do the job even when the wood isn't perfect, like that red cedar. Got a little tear out there. See if we can't get rid of that. And I'm not too worried about making sure this is flat. I'm looking for a nice smooth surface, so still got some tear out here, but I'll just work away at that until it's gone. And then I'll try a little bit with this Sorby paring chisel. So here I've got this knot which I want to work away. And the Sorby is a little more precise. I find it better to work on these smaller areas. You notice I'm just using the edge of the blade to take small cuts, a bit more precision. Great steel on these Sorbys, really sharpens well, holds a good edge. Still got this nasty tear out around the knot here. So, I hope that's given you a good good sense of what makes a good slick for one job or a good slick for another job. Basically, if it's flat on the back, it's going to be good for paring large flat surfaces, higher precision. If it's got curvature to the back, it's going to be good for creating smooth surfaces that aren't necessarily flat, and better for working with wood that has some variation or deviation in the grain. You can work smaller local areas in different directions because of the curvature. It allows you to get in and out of the cut. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.